this feeling we had that our policy should be more independent. So we thought that was very good, and we felt that, well, here's a man who can be independent and won't just toe the American line.
They know that I've given a place to Pakistan, I've given a position. They know that I'm the pillar of stability and the symbol of stability and strength of Pakistan. That's why they want to remove the pillar of stability and the symbol of strength of Pakistan.
And you know, it was the period when we cultivated ties with China. This was all way back in the 60s. So I think if you were to consider that, then my first impression was that, well, here was a young man, very independent, with new ideas and willing to take risks.
पाकिस्तान में एक अयूब के 10 साल के बाद जो है लोग में बड़ी खलबली मची हुई थी। लोग जैसे कुछ चाहते थे, कुछ चेंज हो, कुछ तब्दीली हो। तो आप यूँ समझे कि वो इंकलाब का दौर था। कोई लीडर था नहीं कि उस इंकलाब को आगे ले जाए। तो यहाँ लोगों ने समझा शायद ये भुट्टो जो है वो इस दौर में इंकलाब लाएगा और हमारे मसले हल।
And ironically, you know, from beginning with a martial law government, the movement against Ayub Khan ended up in a second martial law, that of General Yahya Khan. And it was in that period that really much of Mr. Bhutto's political views and future aspirations crystallized. And the formation of the party, the decision to go out and organize at the grassroots level and begin to use language and idiom and exude a persona that immediately struck a chord with people in a way that previous political speakers had not managed to evoke.
In a way, interpreted many events in international affairs in a very different way from what we had been reading. Of course, now many people are saying that, but if you remember, in those days, that is not how those events were seen. For instance, how he explained colonialism and how he said that, well, if we demand aid from the big powers, so we are sort of in a way asking for a repayment of what they have taken from us when we were their colonies.
अच्छा, हम लोग भी ये समझते थे कि शायद ये क़यादत है, ये जो है अब तब्दीली लाएगा, क्योंकि लेफ्ट ने या दूसरों के पास कोई ऐसा लीडर नहीं था कि उसको वो मुतबादल के तौर पे लाएं। तो वो सारे लेफ्ट के ग्रुप्स भी, उनकी भी नज़रें, बाकी लोगों की भी नज़रें, लिबरल्स की भी इसके ऊपर थी कि यार अब यही कुछ तब्दीली लाएगा।
But in those 5 years that he was Prime Minister and a civilian leader, he did, on the positive side, use political communication in a way that had not been used before. And truly, I think, set a certain ideal, which alas, you know, you create an ideal and yet you can equally undo the ideal by your actual actions.
जितनी भी पार्टियां थीं वो उसके पीछे इसलिए थी कि रिवोल्यूशन लाएगा, लेकिन जब इलेक्शन में और उसके बाद जब ये इक़्तिदार में आए तो इसका जो है वो रवैया चेंज हो गया, वो पहले जैसा नहीं था। तो उसके जितने भी साथी थे उन साथियों से ज़्यादा जो है वो जो भी इक़्तिदार के जो थे लोग, उन्होंने उनको चूज़ किया कि जी आप इसको लो, इसको निकालो, इसको रखो, इसको निकालो। तो बहुत ही नए किस्म के लोग आने लगे, तो उसमें भुट्टो जो है ज़्यादा उसमें इन्वॉल्व होते रहे। तो वो जो रिवोल्यूशन था, तब्दीली की बात थी, वो बात ही रह गई, मगर आम लोगों के दिल में जो था, उसके घरों में उनकी फ़ोटोआँ लगी हुई थी, उनके दिलों में था कि शायद यही हमारा लिए कुछ करेगा। लेकिन पढ़े लिखे लोग थे, वो समझ गए थे कि जी नहीं, ये तो कुछ नहीं कर सकेगा, क्योंकि ये तो जाके उनके साथ हो गया।
If he wanted, that is what I felt, that if he wanted, he could have really introduced democracy by keeping the army, clipping the wings of the army, you can say. But he didn't do that, because within 1 or 2 years, the Balochistan war started. I mean, it wasn't seen as a war then, but the army was used, and that gave strength, because it meant his dependence on the army, and he couldn't really confront them that way, which he might have, especially in the early period when the army itself was demoralized after East Pakistan. Well, I think partly because his political compulsions were there, he had to, in a way, appease certain people. But partly I think that it was also his background. After all, if you remember from which background he came, and he probably couldn't really step out of that. And as it is said, many people said that he said that, well, we can fool the people forever, not for some time only, as is generally believed. So I really don't know exactly what it was, because he was such an intelligent man that it's difficult to believe that he would have just done something without knowing what he was doing. So whatever constraints he had, he must have understood those constraints, and he still went ahead with it.